40 minutes in front of these drivers and plenty of opportunities.
But yes, a bit of point of contention, but it doesn't matter now, Ron. We're going green.
Drivers are on their way. And it's a rather convincing start from Joyner. He's going to be leading them complicated. Heading through this bend, it tightens up though before they head off into turn number 8. This is going to be very close.
What is that?
Based off the fact you sound like you sat on a cold toilet seat there, Adam, but that was insane. And Kramer was mega sideways coming out of turn number 8.
That one got me. That one got me.
Look at this conga line. Dun 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 dun. Who was it that came up for the? Oh, that was Tolo coming in.
6 years ago, this was my simulator. Now, I'm a Radical US champion and IMSA driver. My technique in the simulator is what brought me here. Now, I created the Almeida Racing Academy, a place where members can participate in weekly broadcasted championship races, practice sessions, coaching workshops, and much more. We already have 11,000 students in the academy, and we're growing faster than ever. Our membership gives you everything you need every week to improve consistently and become a competitive driver. So join now as a member, and I'll see you on track.
Well, meow, and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors. This is round number 7 of this season, coming to you today from Laguna Seca. My name is Ron Mons. Alongside me in the commentary booth, and happy to have him back, is Adam Thompson. Guido Marzucchi is our producer for today's broadcast. Adam, first off, welcome back. Based off that festive open from me, you can tell it's going to be a good day of broadcast here today. And to kick it off, we're running at Laguna Seca. These Formula Ford cars are usually a real tough ride, regardless of what kind of racetrack we run at. So around this technical track, I think we're in for a tough one.
Yeah, we are, and thanks for having me back. And I don't know how I'm going to meow on the broadcast when I'm in the broadcast. I can't sneak attack you anymore, Ron. But no, when it comes to the Formula Fords today, especially around Laguna Seca, off tracks I think are going to be a pretty big deal. I mean, off tracks in general around Laguna Seca are tough, but especially around vehicles or in vehicles like this, I'd keep an eye out for turn 3, which is right now we're watching Michael McConnell about to go through turn 3. You can get out wide here if you hit that sausage curb on the inside. You can get wide and you can get off track there really easily. And turn 6 is going to be another one, up the Ray Hall straight into the corkscrew. And as we know, the incident limits here in the Weekend Warriors are pretty low, and I know there were some incident limit issues last week, and so keep an eye out for that today.
Yeah, and keeping our fingers crossed that we'll have a good race here at Laguna Seca, the 7th round of this championship. So we are officially past that halfway mark into half number 2 of this season. And it's been a barn burner up to this point. I've had a lot of different winners, lots of different drivers backing their way into victory lane in all 3 of the classes, and really looking forward to the rest of this season. Still rather early on into this qualifying session, though, so I think we'll take a quick look at how things are looking out when it comes to the championships. We'll start off with Spec 1, where it has been a rather competitive season up to this point, and hey, the points really prove that. Felix Samoas is your championship leader, 423 points on the board. He won that Formula V Weekend Warriors race yesterday here on SMB, so he's looking to keep that momentum here in the FF. Sean Doyle is slotted in second, not scoring a win thus far this season, which is a little bit surprising. Rasmus Vori is slotted in third. We have Jason Green and Trent Kramer rounding out your top 5. Only 3 points between Doyle and Vori there for second and third in class. Here's how it looks in Spec 2, where that is so that's the Masters category there.
Here we go.
We'll go with there's the Masters points correctly marked, as it's Antonio Reese in the championship lead. He's had a pretty good season up to this point, 271 points on the board as it stands presently. Jeff Wubker slotted in P2, Jim Brewster in third, York Money Aldegassis rounding at your top 5. That was a schmozzle through my brain. I looked at that, I was like, that looks a little bit funky, seeing all those drivers in the Masters class with green tickers next to them. Here's how it is in Spec 2. And I was going to say how Dan Witzak has been dominant. Yeah, there you can see 415 points on the board. He's been quick. Paul Jackson and Dustin Meaden, though, tied on 277. Fernando Afonso, second tries to charm there from that pronunciation, is slotted in third. Fabian Singer rounding out your top 5 in the Spec 2 point standings, but tied for second. That Spec 2 category, Witzak is essentially running away with it. I'm getting flashbacks to a Spec 2 champion from a year ago here in the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors in the form of Julian Ditchburn, who just dominated the race, then moved up to Spec 2 the following year, and moved up to Spec 1 the following year, I should say. He's quick. Here's another quick driver, Rasmus Vori. And Adam, happy to give us a small little guide around this track.
Oh, let's do it, Ron. You're going to get to let me talk. By the way, real quickly, as we're going down the front straight here, shout out to everybody in the chat. Tam, Papa Ron, Michelle Lynn, hey everybody, Piero Almeida as well. But here we go, into turn 1, already missed turn 1, into turn 2. This is known as the Andretti hairpin. You've got to get that right. Going to see a lot of overtaking opportunities going through there. This is where I'm talking about the off track. Watch the sausage curve on the inside. Car's going to wash out more than you expect. And this is going through turn 3, now through turn 4. You can almost flat foot it through here. Almost, if you're brave enough, and you got to be careful on the washout there as well. Obviously, off track limits are going to be an issue. Now into turn 5. It's a bit of a cambered corner here. You can catch that curve and, ooh, caught a little bit of the anti-cut, and it looks like he might be okay there. Now you got to be brave going through turn 6, up the hill. You want to get as much speed as you can getting up this hill, or you will get run over if you're not the bravest one in the front of the pack. Now into the corkscrew, one of the most interesting corners on any racetrack. It's going to go downhill left and then back right, but there is some camber on that right-hander, and you can be braver than you think through there. Now we're going through turn 9, a little bit of a lift there. This is the easier part of the track. Now through turn 10, right-hander, 4th gear, 3rd gear down into 3rd even. Now you're going to be 2nd gear, maybe even 1st through the final corner of turn 11. We have seen some incidents here in turn 11 in the past too, Ron. And then back down the front straight. You can use as much of that curbing as you want. All of that green is in play. Across the finish line, let's see what Rasmus Fiore runs here. Did not look like the cleanest lap he's run all session, and it was not a 1:36.67.
Despite that, though, Rasmus Vori has been very fast up to this point in the season. Won the 3rd and 4th races of this championship at Brands Hatch and the Red Bull Ring, respectively. Those are his first 2 wins in the Weekend Warriors. A rookie to this season and a rookie to this world. He's been quick, though, ever since the drop the green flag at Cadwell Park some weeks ago. Let's see if he'll be able to grab his 3rd win this season. But holding on is the driver off the back of 2 straight wins himself. It's Ian Joyner holding on to the provisional pole pole as it stands presently, a 1 minute 30.275. It's about 2.5 tenths now between himself and Mikey Pollard, who just jumped up into P2. Daniel Tusk was briefly in third with Mike Sargent rounding out your first two rows as it stands at the present moment. Antonio Reese is your Masters pole sitter as it stands presently, slotted in P7 with Dan Witzak, your current provisional pole sitter in the Spec 2 category, yet again proving that he's been quick. But right behind him is, as he wants to be called, Jason Shen in the 814 car. He was your winner last time out at Zandvoort. Wasn't entirely sure if he was going to show up here at Laguna Seca, but he is here and he's looking fast, currently slotted in P15.
Yes, he is. He's going to be quick. That's someone that, again, we need to watch out for, and we just mentioned it. But right now, he's sitting, like you said, middle of the pack. Fernando Afonso is flying up there in Spec 2 right now. A driver I wanted to kind of hit on before we get done with this qualifying session is Felix Samoas. He was fastest in the practice session, but right now, he's mired down there in 8th place. Antonio Reese up there in 7th, killing that Masters division right now as well, as he just gets pipped down to 8th. And I just talked about Felix. He made a move up into 4th place, 2nd row on the grid.
And looking pretty strong for these drivers as it stands at the present moment. Samoa is looking to prove his pace and flex his muscles here in this 7th race of this season. Yet to grab a win up to this point. I say that menacingly, looking back and realizing that that was a complete slip of the tongue. He won the first 2 races of the season at Cadwell Park and Magny Court. Hasn't won since, though. We have had a little bit of an oddity in Spec 1. And Felix Samoas win back-to-back races for rounds 1 and 2. Then Rasmus Vori won back-to-back in 3 and 4. Ian Joyner won races 5 and 6. So who knows? We may have a different winner. It may be this man, Josh Wilkie, in the number 23 car.
I know that guy, and I'm sorry, Josh. I'm going to do this to you. Don't fire me. Ha! You can't. You got to get faster than 29th place, Mr. Wilkie. He's up into 25th right now on that lap, but he is way back there, Ron.
You know, here's the thing, Adam. He may be 25th in this qualifying session, but there's a wonderful thing called miracles. He's heading his way around for what's going to be one of his last lap times here in this qualifying session as Rasmus Vori getting so close to the pole time of Ian Joyner. It's only a 10th and a half now between Joyner and our P2 runner Rasmus Vori, setting in a cooker in the 199 car. Right as I was talking about earlier on in the show that he is quick, that Finnish driver proving that he is not done for in this qualifying session. Holy cow!
Look at what's happening here. Ian Joyner has now lost the pole position to Antonio Reis. He is miles ahead of his closest Masters competitor of Alan DeGasis back there in 12th. And another driver here, Mikey Pollard, is setting some pretty quick laps as well. And Mike Sargent, a driver who is very quick, obviously going to be very, very tough. I think Ian Joyner has his work cut out for him today, Ron.
Yeah, Ian Joyner may be in for a bit of trouble because right now, I mean, it's still pretty good for him. He's slotted in P2, so it's by no means the end of the world. But Antonio Reis setting in an absolute cooker of a lap time. It's been just a complete swaparoo here in the Weekend Warriors world. Last season, we saw in all 3 of the series, the Formula Vs, the Formula Fords, and the Spec Racer Fords, non-Spec 1 drivers grab wins in each category. Haven't seen that thus far this season in any of our divisions here in the Weekend Warriors. Antonio Reis may try and buck that trend, but here comes Rasmus Vori crossing the line. Will it be an improvement? It won't be. So Rasmus Vori not going to be able to challenge Antonio Reis with a checkered flag out in this 20-minute long open qualifying session. Last season, it was Antonio Reis's close friend and rival here in the Weekend Warriors, Mr. Jörg Mani, grabbing an overall win at the Okayama round for, I believe that was race number 8 of last season. So who knows, we may end up seeing a case where we get our first non-Spec 1 winner overall in one of these races. I think if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Reis.
I think it might be. Now, the problem is I haven't looked at the weather. I know the weather was up. We have to think about track temp here. We're in California, and it is May 4th. So I know it's going to be pretty damn hot out there. So we have to keep an eye on tire temps as well, Ron. Maybe the person who manages their tire temps the best could be the ones to win the race today.
And that's a fantastic point that you raised there, Adam, yesterday on what really was May the 4th. Actually, no, it was May the 3rd yesterday. You could tell, ever since I graduated high school, I have no idea the date. I have no idea what day it is. I just know that it is a
Ron,
day that is going on here. So
first of all, listen, before you go any further, I've got to tell you, I've got a baby in the house, and I'm off work for 3 months, and I know what day it is. So you need to get your stuff together, brother.
I can feel the love, as my best friend Kate would say. Those are the fleas. But yeah, it was a cooker yesterday with the Formula Vs. Even today, it is very, very warm. 101 degrees is that current track temperature at the end of this qualifying session. Let's see how it's going to be in this race that we have coming up. But before we get into that race, let's hear from this fantastic sponsor there we picked up for the second half of this Formula Ford season.
Most racing drivers don't improve because they don't know exactly what to fix. If you relate to that, this ad is for you. Because I have an online course that solves that. It's called the Motor Race Checklist. 50 structured lessons that show you exactly how to improve your technique. You stop guessing and you start following a professional system. And if you don't improve in 28 days, you get your money back. This is how 11,000 of our student drivers make progress. Now it's your turn.
For the second half of the Formula Ford Weekend Warrior season, the series and these broadcasts have been made possible by the Almeida Racing Academy. I would like to thank Julio Almeida and the entire crew behind him for sponsoring this series for the second half of what has already been a barn burner here for Season 2 of 2025, and looking to keep it going here in round number 7 at Laguna Seca. And I think to get things up and rolling, let's take a look at that starting grid. Starting from the pole is going to be the Masters man of Antonio Reese. Ian Joyner set to join him on the front row. We have Rasmus Vori in third. Felix Samoa is slotted in P4. Mikey Pollard is qualified in 5th. Daniel Tuss will start this race in P6. We have the Canadian of Mike Sargent in the 88 car starting this race in 7th. Teague Ashburn, while the newcomers here in this series, will start this race in 8th. Richard Harwood will start in 9th with our Spec 2 pole starter Dan Witzak rounding out our overall top 10.
Edward Buchanan is going to be in 11th with Andrew Herds in 12th. Alan DeGasa starting 13th. Fernando Afonso, 14th position. Jiyoon Chin. I'm sorry. I do not remember how to... Jason Chin. Thank you so much to our producer, Mr. Guido Marzucchi, starting in 15th. Michael McConnell, 16th. Soren Garrett, 17th. Kane Lasky, 18th. Kevin Adrian, 19th, with Paul Jackson starting in 20th.
Then looking outside the top 20, it continues on with Chris Montgomery in the 133, Sean Doyle in the 74. We have Jim Brewster starting this race in 23rd as a Masters competitor. Juan Garcia will start in P24. Starting in 25th, we have SMB's very own Mr. Joshua Wilkie, Andrew Love. Those two had a chat after yesterday's broadcast of the Formula V Weekend Warriors. Actually, during it, Josh was interviewing Andrew. They're going to be sharing the 13th row at the start of this race. We have Jeff Wubker starting in P27. Nate Himmelsbach will start in 28th. We have Stevie Wright in 29th and Adam Bradshaw in 30th.
31st is going to be Ken Poulin, and rounding out your 32-car grid is Russ Telker, and I've heard some chatter. Hopefully he has a bit of a better race than he did yesterday in the Formula Vs. But really quickly, I do have to shout out my wonderful, beautiful, amazing wife, Sarah, with the Star Wars reference of May the 4th be with you. Her and Michelle were on the same page there. So, Ron, May the 4th be with you.
I have no idea why, but I thought it was May the 5th today. Genuinely, you could ask me a million times and I would have no idea. But May the 4th be with all of you on this wonderful Sunday with some fantastic racing actions to look forward to here on SMB. This first race we have coming up, it's going to be a tough one for these drivers. Track temperatures increasing even more now to 104 degrees Fahrenheit. That is going to be scorchingly hot for these tires. We may have to talk about a little bit of tire conservation here, Adam.
Yeah, I'm starting to look at this right now. Now, ambient air temp is only 68 degrees, which is impressive. Now, if this is real-world weather, I live close enough to Laguna Seca, not really, but a state away, and it's cold and rainy here today. So it may be, honestly, not as bad as we expect it to be. Track temp at 104 isn't really that bad. Let's see how it hots up during the race, though, and see if we get any temperature changes in the ambient, because that could be something to talk about a little later in the race. But right now, we need to talk about this start. These starts and this final corner it's going to be tough for all of these drivers to get around T11. We'll see if Antonio Race holds them until everyone's through the corner if he goes early. I'm hoping he does go a bit early. It could maybe help the amount of chaos that we're going to see in the back of the field.
Yeah, and I'm getting flashbacks to that Formula V broadcast yesterday here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Had a pretty disorganized start there, and in jumping it from the second row, well, not necessarily jumping it, just getting off to an absolutely dream start. Felix Samoas, who started that race in third, was able to grab the win at the end of it all. So let's see if he, starting this race in third, will be able to pull off a good result as well here today. That pace car's come down pit lane. The field now in the hands of our pole sitter, Antonio Reese. He's already gunned it. The green flag is out, and the drivers are on their way. Samoa's getting a jump on Rasmus Vori. He's slotted in P3 right behind your current Spec 1 leader of Ian Joyner, but he's trying to look for the overall race lead. Looking at a move around the outside. It's down the inside. That's full commitment. That must have been Dan Witzak down the inside into the Andretti hairpin. Full commitment from your Spec 2 competitor.
I think that may have been Kane Lasky as well, with another send down to turn 1. But yeah, we're looking right now at all of the drivers. They filed out pretty evenly so far. And now this is not a real big draft track. This is going to be a driver's track. We got a driver wide. Someone's sending it through the dirt to try to get by. Who is that?
Whoever it is, they've gone off the track right on exit. Not entirely sure who that is, dropping down like a rock. That may have been Teague Ashburn in the 80 car. He's dropping down even more, as that's a big crash coming out of turn number 6 onto the Rahal straightaway. 2 cars auguring straight off into the tire barriers as they exited the turn. Big one. I think 3 cars have been caught out in that incident. At the front of the field, it is still Antonio Reese leading through turn number 9 of Rainy Curve down into the second to last turn of turn number 10. Ian Joyner still slotted in P2, and looking through, I believe it may have been Fernando Alfonso, Russ Telker, and I think Josh Wilkie may have gotten a piece of that action as well.
Remember what I said about the off tracks here, Ron? We're already seeing a lot of drivers take liberties on these track limits, and that's going to come back to haunt them at the end of the race. I hope we do have a good race that doesn't end like it did in the SRFs last weekend, but these drivers have to be super careful around here to not get off tracks, especially already on lap 1. We see a lot of drivers driving through the dirt here, and that looks like Kane Lasky maybe almost thought about making another move there on Andrew Hurds. Does not, though. Stays in line. Antonio Race still out there in the lead. Looking back here to Jason Chin, now your Spec 2 leader.
Yeah, that's a good start for Jason in the 814 car, looking for a second straight Spec 2 win, and I think he has a really good shot to get it done. Looking through the running order, Russ Telker, I don't believe took the start. Josh Wilkie is 1 lap down already, so not sure what happened to the driver of the number 23 car. Dan Witzak's in pit lane is upside down, tumbling. That's the number 21, and holy cow. That was a wild ride. If ever you've seen one, that was Soren Garrett's, I believe, with a monstrous crash heading off through the mid-sector.
Oh, man, that is unfortunate for Soren. We will get a replay. We'll get some replays for you guys here after some of this battle, this carnage. Actually, we're going to do it now. So here we go. This is the first incident we saw, Ron.
Let's take a look at it. You can see, 3-wide action. That is never going to work heading off of that corner. That, I think, was Fernando Alfonso. It was Fernando Alfonso in the 222 car. That just simply was never, ever going to work. That corner is tricky enough, single file, let alone side by side, let alone trying to stick at 3-wide. That was a recipe for carnage, and we saw that get put on full display a couple of moments ago. As we take a look, this was Andrew Hurds diving down into the corner. Contact being made. Lasky taps him. Garrett's comes in, a little bit of a weird netcode collision there, and upside down goes Garrett's with a one-way trip into that outside tire barrier.
You know, I didn't expect turn 5 to be the incident point here, but we've seen 2 incidents right now, Ron, around turn 5. I expected turn 2 because people go full send into turn 2, but turn 5, you're really not it's not that heavy of a braking zone, but here we are. 2 incidents at turn 5. Jason Chin now up into 10th place, up 5 positions from the start. He's making moves, Ron.
Yeah, Shen proved himself as a very good competitor last time out at Zandvoort, and clearly shown that he's got the pace to contend with yet again. That was in live action to get that move up to remain inside the top 10. Alan Degas is maybe got to fight back. He's your current P2 runner in the Masters category, side by side down into the corkscrew. We saw this work out for some competitors during the Formula V race yesterday, but that is a super dangerous game to try and play here, Adam.
Oh man, it's such a blind corner coming over the top of the hill. You have no idea when the person in front of you is going to brake for the first part of that corkscrew, but great job of both of those drivers getting through there. Alan DeGasis up into 10th place. Antonio Reyes now under pressure from Ian Joyner. Joyner's going to try the outside line here, and this could work for him, but he's got to carry a lot of speed. Antonio lets him go.
Antonio deciding to pick his battle, say, you know what, I'm good. He just allowed him to get that move done to jump up into the race lead. Alan Degassis and Julian Chen, they are still locked steady in a very close battle right behind. Degassis got a move done to slip in front of Julian Chen. I think our live timing software may be having a bit of a moment here as it's still marking Antonio Reyes in the race lead. But Ian Joyner is your race leader now after starting this race in P2 overall. Not the first time we've had a non-Spec 1 driver grab the pole, as Jorg Monty actually did in the opening round at Cadwell Park. As here's a moment heading down into turn 1 turn.
Yeah, it's, get off the track, Adam, and he does. Oh, that could have been real bad if he stayed on the track there, but yes, technically turn 2, I've been calling it turn 1. Excuse me, guys, the Andretti hairpin. First of all, it's all one corner. No corner names on this track make sense because technically there are 2 corners in turn 2, but it's all labeled as turn 2, and turn 1 is actually the lazy left-hander right after the start-finish straight, so whatever. Laguna Seca, get your stuff together. But we're back to live action again here, and we're looking here. It looks like Mike Sargent up into 7th place. Teague Ashburn now. Yep. Guido's just doing his thing here. And, we're just watching drivers go through the final.
Yeah, I gotta say, and this is honest, I think our usually wonderful software is slightly off the fritz. It's marking stuff as replays. It's ever so slightly delayed. Thankfully, none of the people here at Slow Motion Broadcasting are responsible for the coding of that software. We just happen to use it. But Ian Joyner is still your race leader. Antonio Reyes is slotted in P2. Daniel Tufts is running in 3rd. And we have a bit of a cushion developing between our P2 runner of Reyes and our P3 runner of Tufts. He's acting as a bit of a rolling roadblock with the cars right behind. He got Rasmus Rory, Felix Samoas, and Mikey Pollard all right behind. A bit of a hornet's nest forming, and that's a pack of 4 cars battling for all of the spots left in the top 5. 1 spot out of it, and even a spot on the podium.
I do know Samoas. I've heard of Mikey Pollard, and I know of Mike Sargent. Those are 3 drivers that are extremely fast. So keep an eye out for those 3. And obviously Rasmus Fiore as well is extremely fast. We saw it in qualifying. But right now they've got to get by Daniel Tufts, because if they don't, and if Antonio cannot put a battle on Ian Joyner, I'm afraid to say he might check out here, Ron.
Yeah, potentially. We've seen Ian Joyner in that number 8 car just be able to say, you know what? I've had my battles. I don't want to have them anymore. And then just kick on the hyperjet and pull away from the rest of the field. We've seen that happen before. May end up seeing it again, as here's a moment for Adam Bradshaw. This is heading off to the mid-sector, under the bridge, down into the turn 6 kink. Very tough turn. We already saw it claim some drivers earlier on, and a moment for Bradshaw. That turn 6 corner, that is my version of hell on earth, if I'm being completely honest. Like, Kmart's probably right behind, but turn 6 at the top of the list.
I'm sorry, guys. But yes, turn 6 is extremely tough because you lose all the downforce into the corner, and then you gain it all back because you're basically going through a ditch. And that is extremely tough to get through there without losing the rear end with all of the mechanical grip you lose, and then you get back through the middle of the corner. Paul Jackson, wide into turn 2, no harm, no foul, loses a few positions there, but keeps it off the track, back onto the track, and again, off tracks. We got to worry about that.
Yeah, the chances of one of these drivers getting hit with a DQ because of an incident point violation, they are well above 0. So we may have to talk about that for the rest of this race, as I think Paul Jackson may have had some sort of moment in the 249 car. He just dropped down the running order a couple of moments ago. May need to load up a replay to figure out what exactly happened to him. It was a spin heading through the corkscrew, and he may have gotten some assistance. That right there, I believe, is a 133 of Chris Montgomery.
Oh my goodness, who was that? That was Jason Chin as well that was around. So now Nate Himmelsback is the leader of Spec 2. This is going all over the place. Let's see what happens to Jason Chin going into the corkscrew.
Let's take a look at this. Heading down the right haul straightaway, or up the right haul straightaway. It is an uphill blast. May have gotten a bit of assistance. No, just lost it all on his own, and Julian Chen dropping down like a rock as a result of that collision.
Oh, no.
And it was, okay, so it was Chen losing it by himself, and also Chris Montgomery looping it all by his lonesome as well.
So, I think we need to start talking about tire temps here, Ron. I think we were on the money here. I think tires are starting to get hot. Yep, Chris Montgomery just loops it just like Jason Chin did. That you lose a little bit of mechanical grip over the top of that hill, and I think as these tires start to get a little bit warmer, that could become more and more of an issue. So we may see more spins like that going on throughout the race.
This is a nutty race that we've got going on at the present moment. It's saying that this is Chris Montgomery, but I don't believe it is. This car looks a little bit different in the 133. That, or my side of things, has completely gone off the fritz. Let's take a look at this here. Heading down into the corkscrew, I believe this potentially may be live action. I think our
it is.
We're having a bit of a fritz at the present moment. Not really an expert when it comes to this stuff, but I think our SDK software may need a little bit of a reload, because things are offset a little bit by about 30 seconds. I noted that moment for Jackson. Thought we cut to the replay. I was like, Paul Jackson's car look a little bit different, and then we cut to it, and it was Julian Chen having a moment heading down into the corkscrew. So not entirely sure what the deal is at the present moment, but nonetheless, these drivers had their own difficulties to worry about. Antonio Reese has lost the back of Ian Joyner. That's now cooled off at the front of the field, but Daniel Tufts is still locked steady in his own Hornet's nest, as these drivers also starting to worry about some lap traffic I can see in front of Joyner.
Yeah, Soren Garrett is going to be, well, he is now behind Joyner. Soren Garrett is now in front of Antonio Race here, but right now we're looking at Antonio Race. You can see Joyner up there about to go through the kink, and Antonio Race is still now going through the kink, and Soren Garrett is right in between those two drivers. But Soren Garrett is a quick driver, so I don't think this is going to be too bad of an issue here. We'll just see what Soren tries to do if Antonio can get to him. But of all of the lap cars, I don't think Antonio is too worried about Soren right now. Antonio running his own race, sitting in 11th or second position right now. Sorry, Alan DeGase is back there in 11th, the second Masters driver. So Antonio is doing an absolutely wonderful job right now, holding on to that Formula Ford. Pit window, by the way, Tam Stubbe just asked about it. Yes, I do believe the pit window has opened. You can, I would assume, see that the pit window is open. I believe Stevie Ray has gone into the pits. Looking here, he has. So we know, because Stevie Ray has gone into the pits, that the pit window is open, Tam.
Yeah, that's a good indicator, ain't it? Is Stevie, has he come down pit lane? Yes, he has come down pit lane. Okay, the pit window is certainly open. If it were me, I'd probably not come in for an early stop, just because of how greasy this track is. Getting bad flashbacks to a spec race, a Ford race a couple of years ago, where I believe it was Joshua Wilkie spun on the last lap, and in the process of that couldn't get refired with how little fuel was left in that race car. That wouldn't be something I would want to risk, but again, very good reason why I'm behind a microphone instead of behind the wheel. Just saw some pretty nice battling going on not terribly long ago involving some of those competitors. I think Stevie may have picked up a black flag, though. We're hearing from Guido. Yeah, there he is in the pits. He may have picked up some sort of black flag in that.
Yeah, looking here at Stevie. So his pit lane time, he's still sitting in the pit box as well. 12, 13, 14, 15 seconds. Yes, something is going on with Stevie Ray. Now on pit exit, 16 seconds in the box. Now coming out should be around 40-ish seconds. So I think that may have been his actual stop. I think the stop before that may have been to drive through for some incident points.
I was actually looking through and noted as we saw Stevie stopped in his pit stall that according to iRacing, now this is iRacing's information, I can't 100% confirm this, I'm not chatting with Stevie at the present moment as we are on this show, but there's a black flag icon next to his name when he was in the pits not like a couple of moments ago. So I think it may have been he came into the pits and maybe sped. These Formula Ford cars don't have a pit lane speed limiter, if my memory serves me correctly, so may have picked up some sort of pit exit penalty around this track. And plus the pit exit too here, rather easy to pick up some sort of incident, especially around a dusty pit exit on cold tires.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there could have been maybe, like you said, probably a speeding in the pits penalty with that black flag being shown. But moving back on to live action again, we're still looking at Rasmus Fiori trying to get around Daniel Tufts. Like you said, the cork in the bottle here. Really not, though, that much of a cork here if he's still in front of Rasmus Fiori.
Yeah, so is it a cork? Is it just like a malfunctioning cap? Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. But Daniel Tufts still running at the front of this train. Daniel Tufts is a very quick driver here in these Formula Fords, is rather proficient in some of the official races that the Formula Ford cars run here on the iRacing platform. And here in the Weekend Warriors, he's usually a pretty quick driver as well. You can see him certainly pushing the limits coming out of turn number 10, though. Dipped a wheel or two off into the dirt on corner exit, as there's been some drama involving these competitors. That is the number 45. That's the number 45
yes.
of Nate Himmelsbach and Juan Garcia. They overtook, and then our live timing software updates about 30 seconds later. But here was a move.
Yeah, looking at Himmelsbach around the outside into the. Oh, jeez, that is a dangerous spot to make a pass, but Nate makes it work. Unbelievable move by Nate Himmelsbach.
Yeah, that was slick as we continue to see those drivers close to each other heading down into the Andrade hairpin. That's Garcia jumping in front of Himmelsbach yet again. This is live action, folks, as they head their way off into turn number 3. This mid-sector of the track is super tough and was one of the later alterations made to this racetrack when they tried to poach Formula 1 here back in the late 80s. As we take a look to see this racing action, that right there is Garcia getting that move done down that start-finish straightaway off into turn number 2, and simple stuff, just using the small but still very effective draft in these race cars.
Yeah, absolutely. Rasmus Fiori right now still sitting in P4 at the moment, looking here to see exactly what's going on with the leaders. Looks like Rasmus said, screw this, I'm going to try to absolutely get out of this cork that was Daniel Tufts. But we need to talk about Ian Joyner here, Ron. Looking like he is checking out 2.8 seconds ahead.
And yet again, in the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors, Ian Joyner flexing his muscles and proving that he is a mighty quick driver in these race cars. Adam, you've talked about him a lot on the Racing Line podcast, which you can catch on Tuesday nights over on the Ray Esports YouTube channel. Ian Joyner, I mean, he missed out on the first couple of races, rejoined a few weeks ago, and in the process of rejoining the series, he's off the back of back-to-back wins. So Ian Joyner, he's just a monster in these Formula Fords.
Yeah, watching this, oh my goodness, it looks like Nate Himmelsbach almost got into the back of the driver ahead through the corkscrew. Oh no, there's some contact there after the corkscrew going through turn number 9. That's unfortunate. That sucks. They were having such a good battle there, Ron.
As we continue to see this race develop, following Ian Joyner at the north end of the field. Seeing some drivers continue to swap around. Edward Buchanan's had some sort of moment. He's dropping down the number 5 as side-by-side racing. That right there is involving Alan DeGassis trying to get some moves done down off into the corkscrew. That's himself and Teague Ashburn battling hard, but it is still some very close racing going on.
Yeah, and we do have an S2 battle. It sounds like Tam Stubbe called it out, and it looks like actually Jason Chin and Paul Jackson, they're only 0.7 of a second off of each other here. So this is going to get close here. Looks like Jason has gotten around Paul to reclaim that S2 lead. There was some stuff going on there, and I think Jason was part of it, but Jason still ahead of Paul, winning Spec 2 right now.
And that Spec 2 battle has always been close, regardless of what kind of series you find it here in the Weekend Warriors. Could be the Formula Fords, could be the Formula Vs yesterday, could very well be the Spec Racer Fords later on this afternoon. They just put on some great battles week after week. And the thing is as well, when it comes to that Spec 2 category, the phrase to finish first you have to finish is really one that rings true in that category. You could be the quickest driver in the world, but if you are about as consistent as expired mayonnaise, you're going to be in for a world of hurt. As much as Dan Witzak started this season off on fire with 4 straight wins, he's currently running in 24th. And a reminder to any folks who haven't tuned into these Weekend Warriors broadcasts before, these drivers are scored based off their overall finishing position, not based off their class position. So P24 means the exact same to a Spec 2 driver like Dan Witzak as it would to a Masters competitor or a Spec 1 racer, as we continue to see these drivers on screen. This battle with Alan DeGassis and Teague Ashburn still hot as ever.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this battle's been going on now for quite a while. It looks like Teague Ashburn is still trying to find a way around Alan DeGassis, but Alan has moved up maybe even past. Now, we do have somebody in the pits here from what we were talking about. Yeah, Ed Buchanan has come in, so we do have this pit cycle now that has started. Now, the question is, what do these drivers do up front? I don't know if Antonio Race has anything for Ian Joyner. I don't know if anybody has anything for Ian Joyner, but this may be a time for Antonio to try to do something different. We know Antonio does get a little bit weird on the pit stops every now and then, Ron.
Yeah, and the pit stop's so important here in these Weekend Warriors races. If you nail it down right, you're going to be smelling like a bed of roses. If you nail it down wrong, you are going to be kicking yourself in the shins. We've seen some good and bad strategy calls work out over the seasons here in the Weekend Warriors. And around a track like this as well, which, as much as you do have some pretty heavy braking zones like the Andretti hairpin at turn 2, like the corkscrew, and certainly some sections like turn 5, turn 9, 10, and 11, where you can get some moves done if you have that much of a pace advantage over your competitors, it's a little bit tricky to try and get moves done around this racetrack. So doing it through strategy may be a bit of a call that these drivers try and make.
Yeah, looking here to see what's going on with Joshua Wilkie. So he pitted on lap 0, which means he may have missed the start, I believe, but he is at least back on the lead lap at the moment. We're now looking at this Teague Ashburn and Alan DeGassis battle. Still getting super hot, and this Spec 2 battle has not gone away either. Jason Chin and Paul Jackson are still within 0.8 of a second of each other. So there are still some battles going on around this track. Oh no. As I talk about Joshua Wilkie, what have I just done?
Bonk. Worst impression of a falling anvil in the world.
Oh no. See, this is why people hate me. This is why people hate me, Ron. 100%.
I feel like I could make a comment upon that, but I thought better of it, because despite the fact you aren't our boss here at SMB, I still want to stay on your good side, because I don't want to get my ass kicked if I ever go to Reno, Nevada. Here's how it's looking at the present moment. Ian Joyner is still your race leader. Antonio Reese slotted in P2. He's still leading it in the Masters category. May have been a jinx of my own. I was talking about how Reese may be in the catbird seats to win it overall. Would be the first time we've had a driver win a race overall, not being a Spec 1 competitor thus far this season. But I think with the pace that Joyner is showing, he is going to grab that checkered flag and also be the first driver to score 3 wins thus far this season. Haven't seen, it's always been 2-2. Solid from Felix Samoas in the first 2 races. Oh my God! Who's that tumbling? That, I think, is Kevin Adrian.
Yeah, that is the number 74 car of, I believe,
that's Sean Doyle.
Right, that's Sean Doyle. My goodness, what has gone on here?
Holy cow. You can see Alan DeGassis leading this train. May have got it a bit loose on corner exit. Hit that gravel. Contact being made between DeGassis and the 80 car. And look at that, Doyle T-boning the side of Alan DeGassis, bouncing up and down. These Formula Ford cars sometimes have some very odd physics, in the 74 car bouncing down the track like a rubber ball coming out of turn 9. What in the world did we just witness?
Yeah, Teague Ashburn may have got it a little bit wrong there. I mean, we have to keep talking about tire temps. He just understeered kind of right into the side of Alan DeGassis. and Alan has now had to take his pit. That's very, very unfortunate for Alan. Looking at Josh, forgot to load my race setup, missed the start, just disaster today. I hate Laguna. Yeah. Oh, poor Mr. Wilkie there in the chat has seen better days in his sim racing career. But looking here at Felix Samoas, and there is a battle going on with him and Daniel Tufts. Now Felix is going to be the one to try to get around Daniel Tufts. We do have to talk about where Antonio Race came out of the pits. Looking here for Antonio, still looking for Antonio. He is still in P2. He hasn't pitted yet. My bad. So yes, we are still watching this battle here. The driver that did pit behind Daniel Tufts, who is that? Yeah, sitting in the middle right now.
Soren Garrett's in the midst of all of that as well. Garrett's actually, it just popped into my head. We've now had 2 flips thus far in this race. We saw Soren Garrett's tumble through the gravel trap on the outside of turn number 5, and we just saw Sean Doyle bouncing around the racetrack. It was a simile that escaped my head as we saw that collision, but wowzers. It's been a hectic one in the first 25 minutes of this 40-minute long race. The battling is still continuing on. That's Rasmus Rory and Paul Jackson with a brief bout of side-by-side racing heading down the hill off into the Andretti hairpin of turn number 2. It should be noted that Rasmus Rory in that 199 car, currently slotted in P11 at the present moment. He has... I'm looking through, my live timing screen may just be completely off the fritz. He has come down pit lane, but it's saying that he spent 2.3 seconds down in the pits. So I think in the process of that, he turned on the hyperjets going down pit lane, fed his mechanics all of the Red Bull in the world, and was able to get out in a brilliant amount of time. I think with how quick he was going, I gotta feel bad for that race car. I'm pretty sure with the amount of energy generated to go down pit lane here in 2.3 seconds, steel would probably boil at that temperature.
Yeah, somebody check his car. There's some illegal part on that car for a 2.3 second stop. But with that being said, I do need to talk about Joshua Wilkie just a little bit here. It sounds like I'm off the call. I'm getting kicked out of the booth for the SRFs. So I do need to talk about Wilkie, who is out of the race. Obviously, talking about his love-hate relationship with Laguna there in the chat. But you guys can tune in and watch Mr. Wilkie and the dry Thompson, Adam Thompson, the normal commentator here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, run an XSLR tonight. We're doing a fun race around the Indy Oval. So make sure to tune in for that, Wilkie. Maybe you'll have a little better luck there at Indianapolis. But right now, we're still watching Felix Samoas try to find his way around Daniel Tufts here.
That plug was very, very slick. Here's the racing going on track still. Samoas and Tufts, some veterans in these Formula Ford race cars. Felix Samoas has rather impressed me up to this point, holding on to the championship lead in that Spec 1 category. And we were thinking about, okay, Felix Samoas, he's going to be the top of the top. He's going to be on his A game in the Spec Racer Fords. He's actually been better in the Formula Fords, as far as I'm concerned, than he has been in the Spec Racer Fords as a reigning champion. Been struck by some falling anvils over there on the SRF side of things. That's Antonio Reese coming down pit lane in the 914 car from your P2 overall spot, leading in the Masters category, has a pretty sizable cushion between himself and Jim Brewster, who's your second place Masters competitor down in P14. Ian Joyner at the front of the field, though. He may be thinking about run through the pits, but he's still quick, just at the fast lap of the race last time by.
I was about to say that. As we're sitting here talking about tire temps, Ian Joyner goes and runs a 130.4, just absolutely flying right now. Unbelievable. So we'll have to see where Antonio Race shuffles out of all of this pit stop drama that we've been seeing so far. But right now, Jim Brewster, hey, there you go. There's your guy, Tam, right there. He's on the screen. But yeah, Jim Brewster right now sitting in P14 has yet to pit as well. So interesting to see what happens here with this spec or this Masters battle. Antonio Race already out of the pits, though. Jim Brewster still sitting in P14. So Antonio's going to hold on to this Masters lead by a long shot, Ron.
Yeah, and this will be a fantastic points haul for Antonio Reis. If he wasn't feeling good about his chances in the Masters category for the championship this season, he is going to have a very good day here at Laguna Seca. Knowing my luck, though, he will probably crash in the final 11 and a half minutes of this race, and all will be played like an absolute fiddle. Should be noted, though, that Rasmus Fori had a very good run through the pits, and has actually jumped in front of Antonio Reis, who's slotted in P11 overall. Daniel Tufts has come down pit lane, breaking away from that pack. He is being joined in the pits by Mike Sargent, as we take a look in a moment to see Teague Ashburn in that Samsung Sim Sport number 80 car. Let's see the American heading his way up into the corkscrew. He already had a wiggle on through the braking zone, and survey says loops it.
Yeah, that's God. These Formula 4s are so tough to hold on to, especially under braking. Off throttle oversteer is a big deal in these cars, and going through that corkscrew is not the easiest spot to get these cars through. Daniel Tufts now into the pits. Mike Sargent in as well. Everyone's starting to come in.
Yeah, all these drivers are saying that now is the time to come down pit lane. Not terribly far away from the checkered flag, mind you, as well. Only 10 and a half minutes short of the end of the clock. And of course, obviously going to have a bit of time after that for these drivers to finally cross the line, but still getting into crunch time for this race. These drivers deciding that strategy is the name of the game. We've seen so many drivers run into the difficulties of trying to handle this race car around this racetrack. Track temperature still at about 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which is not very good news for the tires on these race cars. And some of the moments we've seen from these competitors up and down the grid, doesn't matter what kind of experience these racers have, doesn't matter what kind of corner they've been running around, they've been losing it. It's been tough. Ian Joyner, though, he's had a fine grip on things. He's come down pit lane. He's being joined in the pits by Felix Samoas. There he is in that number 8 machine, trundling his way down into pit lane. Mikey Pollard going to stay out yet again, the number 73 car. He will take your race lead, at least for the time being. We'll have to come down pit lane between now and the checkered flag, mind you. But Ian Joyner finally making that call to pits. And continuing to see this race develop. This is going to be a fun one here. Let's see. Samoas is still down in pit lane. Joyner is exiting right now. Teague Ashburn has joined those drivers down in the pits. There's Joyner on the pit exit. Felix Samoas now running out of his pit stall as well. Rasmus Fori going to have a huge jump on Felix Samoas. That worked out perfectly for the driver of the number 99 machine. Just a number 99 machine. Second tries to charm with that right there. But Ian Joyner has been able to rejoin the racetrack with the race lead in quite comfortable fashion as well. It's currently about 5.5 seconds between himself and Rasmus Fori in P2. Mikey Pollard, who we have on screen right now, is your current race leader. However, the driver of the number 73 car has yet to come down pit lane, so we will have to wait for him to come into the pit in the coming few laps. Jim Brewster is into the pits as well. It was a slow trickle of drivers coming down pit lane. It has now been turned into a full-on flood, but that worked out surprisingly well for Joyner and very well for Vori.
Yeah, it has. Looking here to see exactly what's going on now. Mikey Pollard in. Ian Joyner has held his 5-second lead, actually expanded on that just a little bit now. Antonio Reis still line of stern here, business as usual for these top drivers. Looking down through the field now to see exactly what's going on with everybody else. This pack for Laguna Seca is pretty spread out, Ron.
Yeah, it's pretty spread out, and it's pretty big as well. We saw less drivers in the Formula V race, and we're seeing in the Formula Fords here today. Lots of drivers deciding that this is a very fun racetrack to run around in these FFs. I was talking a couple of moments ago about the difficulties that some of these competitors have faced running this car around here. Track temperature is still hot at, now it's officially below 100 degrees. Still at a very nice and cold. It is bone-chillingly cold out there. 99 degrees Fahrenheit is your current track temperature, so that is still a scorcher. A side-by-side between Tufts and Pollard down into turn number 3. That could have ended in tears, but they result in a swap-a-roo. Tufts getting that move done to slip his way up into 4th.
Yeah, great move there by Daniel Tufts on Mr. Pollard, but there's still a lot of room to be made up to Antonio Reis, about 1.6 seconds. Actually, Antonio falling off the pace here. He might be under attack from Daniel Tufts here as this goes on. Mikey Pollard still in 5th, Felix Samoa still in 6th. battle going on for 5th through 4th through 6th right now. Ron, I cannot talk. It's been a while since I've been on the call.
You say that to me, I usually sound like I'm speaking in tongues for a lot of these shows. Nick Fleck, Blarney Quando Flern. But I gotta say, what we've been seeing from these drivers is rather incredible. I mean, I've mentioned this quite a lot over the past couple of laps. This is a tough car to run around. They kind of had a completely new model as to how these cars are driving on the iRacing platform introduced for this season. So these drivers, despite the fact they are 6 rounds into the championship, wow! That was Jason Shen with the save of a lifetime. Heading through the corkscrew, that's going to be Sean Doyle getting a move done down the inside off into rainy curve of turn number 9. Whoa. But that was a save of a lifetime from Jason Shen. Wowzers.
Sean Doyle did not get the move done either. Somehow Jason was able to hold on to it and hold on to 12th position. First in Spec 2. Great car control from Mr. Jason Shin. And I have to mention something here, Ron. I'm sorry. Charles Boshell is here in the chat right now, in the Discord chat. And you mentioned a bit of a slow trickle, Ron, for the pit stops. Charles Boshell came in and mentioned that his NASCAR username is Slow Trickle. Unbelievably funny. I giggled very, very hard. So everybody, if you do see Charles Boshell with his NASCAR username, it is Slow Trickle.
That is absolutely fantastic. I was unaware of such information until a matter of a couple of moments ago. So thank you, Charles. Thank you, Adam. And I guess I need to thank myself for saying slow trickle in the first place. But as we continue to see this race approach the very end, here's a battle with Tufts and Pollard. Pollard looking at any way in the book to get a move done down the inside off into turn number 2. He got it done, though, and Felix Samoas nearly tried to get a move done on Daniel Tufts as well. It'd be the opposite of a 2-for-1 deal, losing 2 spots in one corner, as Andrew Hurds may have had an unfortunate moment in that exact same section of the racetrack. He's all by his lonesome, no one really around him. Goes into the corner, carrying a bit too much speed, and around he goes, getting back to the point we've talked about a lot throughout this broadcast. These cars around this racetrack, it's like picking up a raccoon with rabies that you found right behind a dumpster.
Yes, Rod. Yes, that's all I'm going to say to that one. Try again, buddy. But back here, watching at this absolute, I'm going to use one of your terms, hornet's nest. Still a crazy battle going on between Sean Doyle, Jason Chin, Teague Ashbourne, and Alan DeGasis back there in the back of that. So it may be spread out for the leaders right now of each class, but there's still massive battles going on.
Holy cow, that was nearly a bump and run that Sean Doyle tried on Jason Shen heading down into turn number 3. I don't think a bump and run really works in a Formula Ford car. That sounds more like a setup to an airplane crash more than anything else, as Buchanan and Kevin Adrian have a swap-a-roo of spots. Buchanan getting a move done to break his way up into the top 10, but Kevin Adrian still close in that number 10 machine. Let's see if we will have a swap-a-roo of these two drivers heading down into the corkscrew for one of the last times in this race. Won't have one between those two. We'll have one between these two. That's a side-by-side fight with Chris Montgomery and Juan Garcia heading off to the mid-sector, side-by-side into 6. Montgomery with the commitment on that inside line. If you hit that inside red anti-cut curb, you have a very good chance of ballparking it and vaulting over that tire barrier on the outside. So that was full commitment and full bravery from Montgomery to get that move done.
Yeah, it absolutely was. Unbelievable move by Mr. Montgomery there. Looking here to see exactly what's going on between this battle in the mid-pack, and it is still bumping and banging. That was Alan DeGasis on into the wheels of Teague Ashford. They're going to be side-by-side into one.
And that is going to be a fight for the ages. 2x2 heading down into turn number 2. And let's see how it's going to work for those two and these two heading off through turn number 2. A lot of twos there in the span of a couple of moments. Julian Chen remaining on in P12. A little bit hard to snap out of it. Jason Chen running in at P12 at the present moment withstood that challenge from Sean Doyle. DeGasis and Ashburn still very close to each other, as here's a bit of a hornet's that's forming. Mikey Pollard is leading this small little train with about 2 minutes left to go on the clock. Daniel Tufts is slotted in 5th. Felix Samoas is in 6th. And I gotta say that this is rather big when it comes to the championship discussion here as well. As much as a P6 run isn't too bad, Felix Samoas entering this race with a rather narrow championship lead. Probably not what he had in mind, and with Rasmus Vori running in 2nd,
yeah,
he may get involved in that championship battle in the 199.
I think he's going to, yeah. Felix, not the best race he's had in the Formula Fords this season, but still, again, top 10, doing okay. Going to be able to at least be close in this championship battle. Very, very close. This Spec 1 battle is going to heat up even more after this weekend if things stay as they are right now. Looking at Andrew Love, though, back into Spec 1, P16. Now on to Sean Doyle. Back to this battle. Sean Doyle still trying to find a way around Jason Chen.
And yet again, it's a case of deja vu with these two competitors side by side down into turn number 2. Jason Chen holding on to that inside. Sean Doyle trying to tough it out on the outside line, just not able to get that move done. One thing to raise, talking about a track like Laguna Seca, that outside line can be super, super dusty at any point around this racetrack. You can see it a little bit coming out of the corkscrew. The amount of gravel that's been dragged onto this racetrack with drivers having off-track excursions, it's rough heading through there. It looks a lot better now than it did in the earlier stages, but if you're not on the racing line, you are going to be in for a world of hurt, as I think Jason Chen left the racing line, hang down to turn number 5. He's lost out in that spot to Doyle, and now look down the inside. That's the gases licking the stamp and setting it. He runs a little bit wide on exit, though. Gonna get that move done to jump his way up into 12th. That was a gutsy move if ever you've seen it, though. Ian Joyner just started the final lap of the race with about 4 seconds left to his back pocket, but he is on the final lap. One more lap of racing action for Joyner in the 8 car to grab his 3rd win of this season. 3rd win in 3 races as well. That's an unbelievable run from Ian Joyner. Let's take a look at this racing involving Doyle and Chen. It just ended in tears, and Doyle was the one that benefited from all of it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Jason. He gets he seems to be doing okay at the moment, though. See what happens here going into 4. Yeah, Teague Ashburn as well. Jason Chen, here we go. Going into turn 5. This is going to be where it happens here. It's unfortunate. Gets a little bit wide. Gets too wide and loses that battle. Now they still have one more chance, but oh no, just kidding. We're still on the replay here through the kink. Jason Chen, like you said, loses 2 positions there.
Yeah, an unfortunate moment for Chen. He's dropped down behind Teague Ashburn as well. Clearly something is awry in that 814 car. He's still running strong though, holding on to your Spec 2 lead, but not going to be the overall spot that he held a matter of a couple of laps ago. Okay.
Fuel.
Yeah, I think that may be a fuel issue. Yeah, very slow contact, big crash. That's Mikey Pollard and Daniel Tufts coming to blows. That's heading through the second to last corner of turn number 10. Pollard with the hop, skip, and a jump through the grass. Ian Joyner's your race leader at the end of all of this. Antonio Reese going to finish in 2nd. Felix Samoas in it all is going to inherit a podium with Rasmus Vori out of gas. He's going to be trundling his way down that start finish line to just even make it to the very end. Felix Samoas, he was holding on to P6 not terribly long ago, while Vori was in 3rd. And in the blink of an eye, Felix Samoas is now in 3rd, and Rasmus Vori is down in 6th. Shows you how quick these races can change.
Oh my goodness, final corner of the final lap. It turns into absolute carnage here. Sean Doyle now coming across in P10. With Teague Ashburn in 11th, Edward Buchanan going to be coming home 12th, Alan DeGasis in 13th, now 14th. Alan's out of fuel as well. Just makes it across the line. Look at what's happening here. Everyone's winning the Thompson Trophy today.
As here's Julian Chen, he's lost out to on the win in Spec 2 as a result of all that. Paul Jackson going to be a winner at the end of the day in that category. We talked about how Ian Joyner crossed that start-finish line with about 4 seconds left on the timer. Those sorts of situations, when you find yourself embroiled in something like that, that's usually when a lot of these drivers in their fuel calculations go a little bit screwy, go a little bit awry, and after that, you find yourself in a world of trouble. That is a big kick in the shins for all those drivers who ran out of gas. Probably the one losing out the most in all of that is definitely going to end up being Rasmus Vori, was holding on to a podium spot. losing gas, losing fuel, and he drops down to 6th at the very end. That's going to be a big swapperoo when it comes to that championship points discussion as we take a look at this last lap and all of this drama involving that battle for the final few spots inside the top 6. You can see Mikey Pollard, Daniel Tufts, and Felix Samoes all in your screen. You're eventually going to see Rasmus Vory in that 199 car get caught up by these drivers, certainly very short on gas at the very end of this race. But the main drama was involving Pollard and Tufts. You can see Vory just barely up there. He's so slow coming out of the corners, trying to just putter his way right to the line. But I think in all of that, it may have actually been a bit of a checkup as, here you can see this is when it all started off. Contact being made, heading off through the turn. That got Tufts twisted up a little bit. And, I think Mikey Pollard, that was a bit of a move out of aggression and anger on Tufts. He felt that contact. You can see those two drivers, a bit of a love tap. Pollard, from that second angle, looked a little bit of a swing there and then diving down. That just was never going to work in the 10 car. Turn 10, I should say.
Watching it here from Pollard's view, gets a bit of a... anyways, we are not ones to make judgments on what happened. And then we can see here, everyone trying to trundle to the line here. Fuel became a massive, massive problem.
Yeah, fuel became a huge issue at the end of that race. Lots of drivers running into that issue. And, it's a part of these Weekend Warriors races. These drivers trying to get the most amount of performance out of their race cars as they possibly can. Usually fuel them a little bit light. And unfortunately, some drivers just getting that rather wrong at the end of all of it here. But as these drivers burn it down at the end of this race, Ian Joyner wins his 3rd race in a row here at Laguna Seca. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Be right back with some results and some interviews, and looking forward to the rest of the action here on SMB.
Most racing drivers don't improve because they don't know exactly what to fix. If you relate to that, this ad is for you. Because I have an online course that solves that. It's called the Motor Racing Checklist. 50 structured lessons that show you exactly how to improve your technique. You stop guessing and you start following a professional system. And if you don't improve in 28 days, you get your money back. This is how 11,000 of our student drivers make progress. Now it's your turn.
And welcome back, everybody, to Slow Motion Broadcasting's coverage of the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors. That was round number 7 at Laguna Seca, and what a race it was. It was a strategy one all throughout, but towards the end, it just divulged into absolute pandemonium. One driver who was clear of all of that drama, though, was Ian Joyner, who gets his 3rd win in a row here from this season. I'm going to get those results loaded up right about now, and you can see 8.3 seconds was the gap between himself and Antonio Rees. Felix Samoes finishing right behind in P3. Antonio Rees, your winner in the Masters category. And those two drivers making up a Portuguese 2 and 3. How about that? Those two drivers very quick and certainly veterans here in the Weekend Warriors world, rounding out our overall podium. We have Mike Sargent finishing this race in 4th in all of that drama that went on towards the end of that race. We didn't really talk about it too much in that number 88 car, but that Beaver block falling on some of his competitors' head, and as a result of all that, he makes his way up into 4th. Rasmus Vory running out of gas towards the end of that race rounds out your top 5. I believe you crossed the start-finish line in 6th, but I think we had some penalties right at the very end of that race, dropping some drivers down. The list continues on with Richard Harwood classed in P6, Kevin Adrian in 7th, I should say. We have Sean Doyle finishing this race in P8. Teague Ashburn is classed in 9th. Edward Buchanan rounds out our top 10. We have Michael McConnell in P11. Alan DeGasse is in P12. We have Andrew Love in P13. Mikey Pollard, who I think was a driver that picked up the penalty towards the end of that race, and based off the views that we had, I'm not entirely sure if he will hold on to that P14 after post-race review. But nevertheless, on track, he finishes in P14 with Paul Jackson rounding out our first half of the field.
Yeah, Chris Montgomery 16th. Juan Garcia comes home in 17th position. Jason Chin ran out of fuel towards the end of that race and comes across the line in 18th. Daniel Tufts 19th. Jim Brewster comes home your 20th position finisher. Dan Witzak, 21st. Jeff Wubker, 22nd. Andrew Herds comes home in 23rd. Stevie Ray, 24th. Soren Garris, 25th. Nate Himmelsback in 26th. Joshua Wilkie drives it, doesn't drive it home, hangs out in the pits, and finishes P27. Ken Poulin, Adam Bradshaw, Kane Lasky, Fernando Afonso, Russ Telker round out your 32 drivers.
So those are your results at the end of this race to kick off the second half of the season here in the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors. And man, holy cow, that was a hectic one towards the end of that race. And Adam, since it's your first time back in the booth for one of these Formula Ford races since I believe the end of last season here on SMB, I will let you do the honors of having our first interview. Who do you want to have a chat with?
I'm going to talk to Mr. Antonio Reese. It's been a while. Welcome in, Antonio. Sorry, Guido, I totally screwed you up there. But Antonio, you started on the pole. Ian, he was fast today, man.
Hello. Yes. Hey. Yeah, he was really fast. I was doing mistakes behind him because of the draft. I didn't figure it out, the braking points, as I was trying to brake as the same points as without draft. So the cars, I start getting a little bit of a trouble in a few corners, and then I decide to stay away from him and
well,
and keep safe.
You did well no matter what. You finished in P2 in the Batonio mobile. You did a great job. Obviously, this is going to help your Masters division quite a bit, considering that your closest Master rival, I believe, finished in 14th position. So you did a great job today, holding on to those points. How was the track today? Did it get slick? Was it hot?
I put a cassette on my Batman car. Bat car. I put a cassette. No, I'm joking. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, no, the track, actually, I was quite comfortable driving on the track. I didn't feel any. On the practice, I was checking all the limit of the car. And then on the race, I was just avoiding those limits. And then.
Yes.
Yeah, so basically, I was really comfortable with the track somehow, for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe because I went to the park today before the race, so maybe that.
You got it. You had to get into the right mindset there, Antonio. But congratulations, man, on your congratulations on your P2 overall, but your Masters win by a long shot, Antonio. Anybody you want to thank or shout out before we let you go?
Yeah, thanks for you for inviting me here on the interview and for the slow motion broadcast, and Steve Ray. Steve Ray is the special guy, and then also for the sponsors and all the drivers and all the guys watching on the YouTube. Hello.
Well, Antonio, it sounds like Charles Boshell is going to be back for the Spec Racer Ford race around Red Bull Ring, so I may hop out there with you guys and run a little bit of laps with you. How's that sound?
Will not do the spec. I'm sorry. I'm not to disappoint you, but yeah, I will not be there.
Killing me, Antonio.
I'm sorry.
Killing me. That's all right, Antonio.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Anyways,
okay,
congratulations on your P2, and I will talk to you soon.
Yeah, talk to you soon. Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much. Bye.
That was Antonio Reese, Masters winner, second overall, Ron, and I believe we have got somebody who just drove away. We're going to have to change his name to Ian Verstappen at this point, Ron.
Yeah, may have to make our own version of the song "Do Do Do Do." Ian Joyner. I'm not sure if that has the same ring to it as the other Verstappen song, but we'll get the opportunity to have a chat. That was a pity laugh, I could tell. Ian Joyner now joining us here in the commentary booth. Ian, welcome in your third win in 3 races. Happy to talk us through this one here at Laguna Seca.
Yeah, it's a little bit lonely, especially compared to last week after the early on. Requires such a lot of concentration. I was just trying to keep it clean. I did manage a 0x, which I was pretty chuffed with that.
Wow.
Easy here, and just hitting the apexes and trying to keep the pace up was really tricky. So yeah, I'd plenty to keep me occupied, but yeah, whatever reason, just had a bit of a margin. And the draft is strong, but at the same time, Antonio, I think because the corners are so, you have to be so precise on the corners. It only takes us like a tiny little mistake, and then someone loses 2-3 tenths, and all of a sudden they're out of draft. So it's
Ian, I got I got to pop in here real quick, then I'll give you back to Ron. I'm watching this Formula Ford chat right now. You screwed a lot of drivers out of some fuel issues here. You crossed the line to take the white flag with 4 seconds to go, Ian. And you absolutely caused chaos behind you. Was that your plan?
No. To be honest, I wasn't surprised at all. I thought it was, but then I suppose I perhaps had a better idea what the pace was going to be. Oh, it was quite amusing. I sincerely apologise. No, to be honest, I thought it was going to be 27 laps, so I wasn't surprised. But I suppose if you put a pin in the lap time and then it wasn't that, then yeah, sorry guys. I saw Erasmus. I don't know how tight it was, but I saw Erasmus. Yeah, it looked like he ran out, unfortunately.
Yeah, he was out of gas right towards the end of that race. I believe he dropped down to P6 on the road, P5 after some penalties for some drivers a little bit farther up the road. But Ian, one thing that he raised, the fact that, did you say you completed that race with a 0x? How the hell did you manage that?
Well, definitely a little bit of luck, but just concentration. Yeah, super easy. I had a few, especially through 5 or 6 one before the corkscrews. I came ridiculously probably within about a pixel of an off track on the exit of that a few times, but yeah, it's all good.
I mean, credit where credit is due to finishing that race with a 0x. Well, as my description earlier on of the other conditions for these drivers, Adam, it was like picking up a raccoon with rabies that you found in a greasy dumpster around back of a pizza place or something like that. I forget what I said.
It doesn't get any better the second time, Ron.
Oh, it absolutely. None of the things that I say get better on the second time. So, I gotta say though, Ian, well done on your 3rd win in a row in 3 races thus far this season. Good way to get the second half of the season going. We're gonna be running at Snetterton, and if my memory serves me correctly, albeit I may be thinking of a different driver, I think Snetterton's one of the tracks that's kind of close to you in real life, is it not? So what are your thoughts heading into that race?
It's not actually that close. It's in the UK, so relatively speaking. Alton Park's close for me. But,
I will save that stat for in 3 weeks' time when we run at Alton Park, but Snetterton in 1 week's time.
Yeah, it's a fun track. Yeah, it's I felt strange being at Laguna after the massive run of UK tracks we've had. So, but it's fun to be. I think it was the first track I ever raced on iRacing. Yeah, it's such an iconic circuit, so kind of cool to be driving it.
Yeah, look, I gotta say, what a track to make your iRacing debut. I think mine was Tsukuba, which I still have a special place in my heart just from running constant laps in Forza Motorsports 4-way back in the day. But Laguna is still a pretty fun one as well.
Yeah, I remember that for Gran Turismo. Yeah, it's yeah, my daughter's got a sort of thing about Japanese culture. We'll end up going out there sometime. But I'd love to do a track day at Tsukuba. I think that'd be so cool.
I remember one time doing a race with some Radical SR10s around there, an official race that was broadcasted, and I remember that was basically like putting a bunch of bulls in a china cabinet. So I gotta say, these Formula Ford cars, I think I've put on some pretty good races there in the past. But regardless, Ian, thank you for joining us here in the commentary booth. And before we let you go, usual question: anybody you want to give a thanks to or shout out?
Yeah, same league again. It's some nice words by Stevie at the start, and again, it was a great, respectful race. Yeah, thanks to everyone. I'll give Armida another shout as well, particularly Brian Lockwood. Spent a bit of time with him, and he's surprising what he can point out that you don't necessarily realise yourself, and from a braking point of view, so that was great. Yeah, just you guys for the really good broadcast as ever. So thank you.
Very good broadcast outside of me talking about oily raccoons. That's a sentence that's never been said before.
And I will make
that. Yeah, Bulls, China shops, Red Bull, everything. And thank you for joining us here in the commentary booth. I will let you go before this madhouse gets you a migraine. Well done on the victory.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
And that right there was your race winner, Ian Joyner. And Adam, we still have our P4 P4 finisher at the end of this race, Mickey Pollard. Nope, it's our P4 finisher, Mike Sargent up there. I got the two Mikes confused. You want to have a chat with him?
Yeah, let's do it. We got, well, there he goes. We got Mike Sargent here in the booth. Now, Mike, congrats on your P4 finish. It was an absolute crap show at the end of that race. You clearly are one of the few that had enough fuel to make it to the end.
Yeah, I couldn't believe what happened at the end there. I'm still not really sure where I finished. I just awesome guy. Good job by the strategy guys, making sure we had enough fuel there at the end, and yeah, thankful for that.
Yeah, who's your strategy guys?
Me.
Oh, you. Okay. Well, then, congrats to yourself on making sure you had enough at the end of the race. Talk me through the race. We were worried a bit, obviously being at Laguna Seca, especially around May. We were worried about track temp. It doesn't seem like it got too hot, but there were still quite a few issues. The cars looked pretty loose out there, especially going through the corkscrew.
Yeah, it was really tough over the corkscrew, but just overall track conditions in the second half of the race, it felt like the track really heated up. I was losing the rears a lot. Overall, my race was more just time trials. We lost the draft early, unfortunately, and then luckily had the pace to pull away from the cars behind, but not quite the pace to catch the pack. And then, yeah, calamity unfolded, so we lucked into a podium.
Yeah, I'd say calamity unfolded, man. Well, congratulations on wherever you finished, P3, P4, P10, P12, whatever. You finished the race under power, which was the big thing, Mike. So congratulations on that. Obviously, we talked about Snetterton coming up next weekend. How are you feel your chances are around there? If Ian Joyner's in the field, you got a few seconds to find, bud.
Yeah, especially that's I think that's home territory for him, right? Mm-hmm. Not overly confident, to be honest with you, but we'll put our best foot forward and try to get it done. Also, hi to my family at home.
Yep, I was about to ask that next question, Mike. Congrats. Anybody you want to thank or shout out before we let you go?
Yeah, just want to shout out the Almeida Racing Academy. The boys are proper quick and you got us looking right. 1-3 finish in class. Shout out Beaverblock, my team, and sponsor us.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. Mike, very quick with his interviews, knows exactly what to say. It's like he's done this before. Mike, congratulations, buddy. I hope to talk to you again soon.
Cheers, guys. Great job on the broadcast.
Thanks, buddy. That was Mike Sargent there. That one was one of the quicker interviews we've ever done, and that was, I like that, Ron. We're not talking about bowls and china shops. We're not talking about greased up raccoons. We just got through it.
We got a lot of action to look forward to here on Slow Motion. Oh, boy. Yeah, I love you, Adam. But we got a lot of action to look forward to here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. As we said, the next round of this Formula 4 Championship going to be at Snetterton. We got a barn burner of race coming up with the Spec Racer Fords later on this afternoon. They're going to be making a trip off to the Red Bull Ring. See, hey, there's a reason why I mentioned the bull in the China cabinet thing.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm just trying to give myself an excuse. That'll be coming up in about less than an hour's time here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. As you said earlier on, Adam, we got the action from an XSLR Indy Fun Race coming up later on. That'll be 147.5 miles around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Oval. That's 59 laps? Am I? It is. 59 laps. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it should be an absolute blast. We got some Slow Motion Broadcasting people coming in there. Obviously, the owner or the runner of Slow Motion Broadcasting now, Mr. Joshua Wilkie, is going to be in there, and the other Adam, the lesser Adam, the worse Adam, is going to be in there. Yeah, Guido's going to be running as well. We're going to have quite a few drivers in there from Slow Motion Broadcasting. I think Michelle Lynn, she hearted it. Hopefully she's in there. Jason Greider, a bunch of Weekend Warriors as well. So everybody tune in for that. Tim Cox is going to be on the call for that one. A blast from the past for everybody. So hopefully everybody tunes into that one, has a little bit of fun tonight.
And unfortunately, I will not be able to make it for either the broadcast or the race. So shame on me, I guess, for not being present for that. But we got a whole lot of action to look forward to here on SMB, the Weekend Warriors, every single Saturday with the Formula Vs and the Sundays as well with the Formula Fords and the Spec Racer Fords. The Sim Racers Group F4 series that you can catch on Wednesday nights here on SMB. And the brand new Rikmatech Extreme Motorsports IndyCar Championship Series just had round number 1 of the season at Portland, couple of days ago. Round number 2 going to be coming at you at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course this upcoming Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and hopefully all of you will be able to tune into that broadcast there. But as for this broadcast today for the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors at Laguna Seca, I think that'll just about do it. So for myself, Ron Mullins, Adam Thompson joining me in the commentary booth, and Guido Marzucchi doing a wonderful job working all the cameras in the virtual production hauler, I say thank you also very much for watching this broadcast here on Slow Motion Broadcasting today, and I'm waiting now for Adam to meow into my ear.
May the 4th be with you, Ron, and meow.